The block includes 2 gallery spaces. It includes an entry lobby.
Welcome to the Grand Theater.
This is a community that has had a great deal of citizen involvement. It's not just the foundations. The foundations were an inspiration to individuals to be involved in their community. We had 1,150 separate gifts, almost all of them local, which raised $13.2 million, and we were able to bring in this project on time and under budget.
Wausau's sense of community was tested in recent decades with the arrival of thousands of Hmong refugees who fled from Laos after fighting for the U.S. during the Vietnam War.
They call it secret wars because they just send a weapon, and the Hmong people wear the clothes and use the gun and use everything from the American CIA into fight for the American. President John F. Kennedy came to ask the King of Laos for help to blast the Ho Chi Minh Trail north to south, because the Hmong people live in a highland and close to the border. And during that time, the American CIA give the job to General Vang Pao and to recruit all the Hmong people to fight.
Back then, Laos is just a big push. People were dying, left to right.
3,000 dead or wounded every year, every 7th man.
After 1975, the United States pulled out of the country. So the communists come to take over Laos and did not follow the peace.
After that, then we continue, get everyone together and fight the communists. And we fought until practically 1978, 1979, until they ran every area over.
I decided to take my family to escape to Thailand to safety.
Then I left my family and my brother, sister, cousin, everybody at Phu Bai. So they die, they kill them, they die a few over there.
Everyone was leaving to the US, to Australia, to everywhere else, They went to a third country. So I figured that, we have no future here.
If I live over there, I have no money. Then I cannot go back to get my family. Then we moved to United States.
This is a story cloth. This is the life and history of the Hmong in Laos.
This is our story cloth for America. Our stories here are just beginning.
Church groups in Wausau began to sponsor Hmong families, bringing them from the refugee camps in Thailand to Wausau.
The people in Wausau, there are so many welcoming hearts here, and that really want to work with the Hmong and to see the Hmong succeed.
Page 14. You have 14.
City of Wausau put together some plan to help the refugee out, and all the churches around, they all got together. They taught us how we're gonna have to do to survive. And they said, you will be like a little child thrown in the pool. You're gonna have to learn how to either, float or sink. They told us that you have to promise yourself that you will learn 3 words a day. And in a year, 365, you multiply that, and then that's how you should do.
At that time, the majority of the people, or Hmong people that is still on welfare. So I think there's a lot of misperceptions. The assumption is that, the Hmong people are on welfare, they're lazy, therefore they will not become productive.
Once they started hiring Hmong people, they found out that Hmong people are very hardworking people, and they are very productive workers.
I went to school, ESL a little bit, a couple hours a day, until I had a second child. I went to work part-time, then the third child full-time. Yeah, then after that, 2 jobs, and raised them too.
Both my parents were working. One was working first shift, second shift, so pretty much there was nobody home to have that family structure there to pass that on down to us, to teach us who the Hmong people are and where we came from, because at that time everybody was just trying to assimilate, just build a new life in America here.
There's positive things, but there are also negative things. Wausau, before the Hmong moved here, was one of the widest congressional districts in the nation.
As the Hmong themselves began to sponsor more refugees and family members in other cities moved to Wausau, the population grew quickly and tensions in the city escalated.
I think it wasn't until around 5th or 6th grade did I start experiencing any kind of racial tension. One of my best friends, she just out of nowhere told me, "Why don't you go back to your own country?" And I sat there and I thought, okay, all my life I've grown up in the U.S. That's all I've known. What do you mean to go back to my own country?
The older generations, such as my grandparents, they still have this feeling that they will go back to Laos one day. My parents kind of accepted that they're not going to go back. For us, a younger generation, we don't want to go back.
And I would tell the community at large, say, the Hmong's no exception. It's probably just like the rest of the immigrations, the German, the Polish, that initially when they first got here, they still live in a very close-knit Polish community or German community. Their grandma, grandpa still speak German or Polish, but with time, that's not going to happen.
As the Hmong celebrate their heritage at the annual New Year Festival, they now make up 12% of Wausau's 38,500 residents, the highest percentage of Hmong in the nation.
And from the community standpoint, when they go to hospital, they see Hmong physicians. When they go to, they get stopped, it's stopped by a Hmong police officer. When they go to bank, they see a Hmong banker. So I think with this time for the last 15, 20 years, the whole community grow together with an acceptance.
Right now, Hmong people are just pretty much the same as everybody. We've been here for 35 years. We're into right now probably the 3rd or almost 4th generation. Grew up doing almost the same thing as everybody else. That mentality of us being refugees, I guess, should no longer exist, just because we're out working, going to school, teaching the next generation.
Sorry, no drinks. Oh, okay.
But we're pretty much dealing with the same problem everyone else is dealing with: money, job, family structures. The older generation, we're pretty much in the same boat as everybody else right now. So.
In 1937, in a special ceremony, the last of the area's big white pines was cut down. The first cut of the 400-year-old tree now lies on display at Marathon Park, symbol of a bygone era. Little remains of the lumber mills that sawed the trees and built the city. The remnants of a foundation are all that's left of a major sawmill on the riverside. Many of the old woodworking plants are gone, like the Curtis Sash and Door Plant, once one of the biggest, torn down in 1963. A few of the old companies remain, like MBX, still making shipping crates and wooden packing boxes, one of Wausau's pioneering industries. The ginseng industry, begun when the Fromm brothers harvested wild plants from the forest, continues today. Marathon County harvests most of the North American crop, and its quality still draws the attention of buyers from East Asia. The work of the Civilian Conservation Corps, carving out the first ski trails on Rib Mountain, created a new industry. Their work became the foundation for a huge expansion in recent years, which added 60 more runs on the biggest vertical drop in Wisconsin. The legacy of the lumber raftsmen who dared to ride the rapids at Big Bull Falls today is carried on by whitewater kayakers maneuvering the eddies and holes of Wausau's world-class kayaking course. The power of the Wisconsin River continues to be harnessed by the hydro plant at Wausau, part of the legacy of the Wausau Group and its efforts to rebuild the community. The 3 paper mills funded by the Wausau Group continued to produce high-quality specialty papers throughout the 20th and into the 21st century. These were joined by new industries that started up after World War II, like Wausau Homes and many others.
After the war, there is a kind of a burst of new economic activity to complement the ongoing work of the Wausau Group.
As new industries expanded, so did Wausau's hospitals and healthcare facilities, which grew to become what is now the city's largest employer. Over time, the Wausau Group's control of local industries slipped away as businesses merged or were sold. But the group's spirit of cooperation and community building lives on.
If this group of people weren't here, Wausau would have been a different city.
There's been an extraordinary amount of foresight here and a tradition of reinvestment in the community.
When they made their fortunes, they were generous with their money. They gave to cultural institutions. That's part of the story of them keeping the money in their community. And there's no question that it is unusual for a town of this size to have a symphony orchestra, the Grand Theater, the Performing Arts Block, the Art Museum it does. And I think that that spirit of giving continues to this day, and you can see it in the community.
So it's the best of all worlds.
You know, what happens here that first weekend after Labor Day when we open Birds and Art, and artists come from around the world, and artists that have developed friendships and relationships with people in the community from Holland, from Japan, that I think says a lot about the community.
This whole arts, music, cultural advancement was just something that was really part of our community almost from day one, and it continues.
There are involvement activities, the choir, the children's theater, the community theater, 2 dance companies, a number of commercial dance studios. There are ways for kids to get involved in the performing arts. And then we're able to bring in touring attractions from around the country and around the world that really make this, for a community its size, as well-rounded an art scene as I think you could possibly find.
The Wausau community continues to take on big projects, like improvements to the public square downtown.
We profile like a much larger community. We dream and think and want and make happen things that are much more typical of a larger population. And maybe that perhaps defines the Wausau Group, that they were doers and they recognized needs and they stayed determined how to satisfy those needs. And I think that's still happening.
The spirit of the Wausau Group can be seen in the parklands they left for the community, some along the river that first gave rise to their wealth. Changes in Wausau's skyline reflect new growth on the riverside, as new uses are found for the old industrial sites that once lined the banks.
One of the things that really anchors, I think, the history of Wausau is the Wisconsin River. It still tells the story of 1839 when George Stevens came up, started his first sawmill. It still tells the story of a variety of other people that have come and made Wausau what it is. And I think that anchor is the Wisconsin River that continues to flow down this wonderful city.
Wisconsin Hometown Stories Wausau is made possible in part by the family of Cyrus Yawkey, the Carolyn S. Mark Legacy Fund of the Community Foundation of North Central Wisconsin, the B.A. and Esther Greenheck Foundation, Aspirus, a comprehensive healthcare system serving north central Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula, Reuter Ware, the Dudley Foundation, the Walter Alexander Foundation, and for curriculum development, the Judd S. Alexander Foundation. With additional support from these funders, including the Friends of Wisconsin Public Television and the Wisconsin History Fund, supported in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities.